Well, Abraham Lincoln said, "No one is poor who had a godly mother." Joy Brown is a busy woman with wonderful gifts to share as a nurse, a Sunday school teaching assistant, a beloved choir director. Joy credits her mother with training you, really, for what is your main career focus, at least, and I'm sure many other things, Joy.
Yeah, my mom, she had my sister and I ministering at the nursing home. I started when I was 8 years old and played weekly for years and years and years and years at the nursing home, and my sister would minister with her on Sunday mornings for years. I think I did mine for about 13 or 14 years until I was in university and wasn't able to make it out on Thursday nights, but my mom was very instrumental in ministry and having all of the kids serve. So
reaching out to others musically, as we will appreciate in a few minutes, but a nursing career. You are hospital case manager.
Yes.
That sounds very important.
Oh, well. Yes, I work with...
You hand out the assignments to
I work with the Community Care Access Center, and so when we have clients who need services in the home, we arrange for those services to go in. So
wonderful. I'm so glad you could be with us today.
Thank you.
You gave your heart to the Lord at a very early age.
Yes, I was 5 years old.
In Jamaica?
In Jamaica. We were out there for a year. We were transitioning from Quebec to Ontario, so Mom took us out for a year while my dad was getting settled, and there was an open-air meeting just down the street, and so my mom sent us, my brother, my sister, and I, my older siblings, and I don't even know who the evangelist's name was, but he was preaching hellfire and brimstone, and we were determined that we were not going to go to hell. We were not going to be left behind, so I went up and gave my heart to the Lord. But it was definitely a sincere decision, and that's just started the journey.
Now, before you turned 13, I don't think you were quite a teenager when you and God had a very interesting encounter.
We did. I was 12 years old, and I was walking downtown Hamilton, going to the public library, and all of a sudden, this voice just stopped me, and he said, "You know, you need to make that decision, you know, to follow me. What are you going to do? Are you going to hang on your parents' coattails, or are you going to follow me?" And I remember standing at the corner, and I said, "I am going to follow you." And I think, you know, especially when you give your heart to the Lord as a young child, you're going to church because your parents are going to church, and you're involved because your parents are being involved. But I think there comes that time when you have to have that intellectual as well as that heart decision to follow God. And so that's, yeah, it happened for me at 12.
And because I know the rest of your story, I wonder if God needed to confront you for something more intentional because of some very serious wounds and barriers to all he wanted to do in your life.
Yeah, I experienced sexual abuse at the age of 8 from outside of the family, and I kept that to myself. I kept that a secret. Later on, I found out why when I had flashbacks, that I was told it had to be a secret or else other members of my family would have been affected. And so I always felt really dirty and sinful inside. But it was such a confusing thing for me because I knew that I loved God, I knew I loved Jesus, and I was serving all the time. But at that time, I didn't feel that I could share with anybody, definitely not within the church sphere, because it just seemed like when you were a Christian, everything was perfect, right?
You couldn't even be angry. You
couldn't even be angry. No, I remember being at a youth group and saying I felt angry, and somebody said, "Well, you're not supposed to be angry, you're a Christian." And so I thought, okay, don't share. Right? You just keep all these things inside and deal with it. And I dealt with it through my music and being perfect at school and trying to be in control of my life.
That is so fascinating. I'm not going to say it makes me want to re-examine every valedictorian, but you were an exceptional student.
I was exceptional
at everything, and you made sure that you
I made sure, followed the rules, and made sure I had everything in control. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a nurse when I was 3. I was playing the piano since I was 4. I was going to be a nurse and stay at the hospital for 20 years. I knew what I was going to. I had my life planned out, and nobody was going to change it because I needed that control.
You know, I've said it so often because I just think Francis Frangipane nailed it when he said, "Satan dines on that which we withhold from God. He loves secrets." It's destructive force. I just heard some young women sharing their stories a few nights ago, and my husband was sniffling behind me the whole time. It was just devastating. Sexual abuse early in life from people in arenas where it should never happen in many cases. And one young woman said it wasn't until she was 32 that she shared that dark secret with anyone. And it had been doing its destructive work all through those years.
Exactly. And I was 26 when I finally shared with my mom. My life fell apart. I was working up north on the First Nations Reserve, the best time of my life, but it was also a time because of the isolation where things start to happen and there's not a lot going on, and so things started to come up, and I started remembering things and had these bouts of depression and anger and didn't know what to do with it. And depression is repressed anger. It really is.